Yes, yes. I have heard the news. Pretty ironic how I'm in here practicing posing, looking at everything, looking at the checks and balances, and I hear the news that they are upping the shorter heights in Classic by 7 pounds. So that does make a difference for me, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely. It would be an entirely different look for me on stage, and I will discuss it with the team.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, we got to talk a little bit more about these new Classic Physique weight limits, and specifically a lot of the current Classic Physique guys that are speaking out about these new weight limits. In particular, Breon Ainsley, former Classic Physique Olympia champion, notoriously left the Classic Physique division this year to go to 212 because he was struggling with making weight, and he felt like his body, the physique that he brought to the stage was suffering as a result of that particular part of prep, that last-minute weight cut. So Breon discusses these new weight limits in his latest Instagram post, where he specifically says, well, now I'm going to reconsider going to 212. I'm going to talk with my team and try to figure out if it's best to stay in Classic Physique with these new weight limits. And he then goes on to even further specify in this post to say the increased weight cap would put me at 187 pounds. However, I might not have to cut water as heavy, so I could possibly weigh in at 192 pounds because I wouldn't lose as much height. So this has been a big topic of conversation as well. People talking about the water cut and actually losing height because you're losing water from the bottom pads on your feet, water and fat, to the point where you could be losing as much as half an inch in height. And I think that's what Terrence was talking about in his post, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. But honestly, I thought it was a weird decision for Breon to go back to 212. He started in 212, and quite frankly, he just didn't do well there. He never won a 212 show, and he was a much better fit for Classic Physique, not only winning Classic Physique shows, but winning the Classic Physique Olympia twice. And at his age, he's about to turn 44. I thought it was weird that he was going to start pursuing 212 at that age instead of just retiring from Classic Physique and retiring from competing. So I think it would be interesting if Breon stayed in Classic and to see how different he really looks with this potential added weight. Now, 192 being the best case scenario for him is still 20 pounds lighter than the 212 weight limit. So it's still honestly pretty limiting for him. And who knows how much of the past year he's been dedicated to putting on size and trying to grow into the 212 and really develop his body for 212 instead of Classic. But Breon's an interesting situation because he doesn't have to qualify for the Olympia. If you've won the Olympia, you're qualified for life. So if he wanted to jump in the Classic Physique Olympia, he could do so at any time, any year, without having to qualify. But to be totally honest, while I think his physique is certainly a better fit for Classic Physique than it is 212, I don't think the extra 5 pounds or the extra little bit of weight is going to make a huge difference, in the sense that I don't think he's going to beat Chris Bumstead. I think the days of Breon beating Chris are over. He beat Chris very early in Chris's career. I feel like Chris has really figured out the formula now. And quite frankly, I don't think Breon will ever be able to get that title back as long as Chris Bumstead is standing in his way. Now, is it possible that Breon could work his way back into the top 3? I think so. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about Breon Ainsley with this new weight limit. Should he move back to Classic or go to 212? So Terrence Ruffin put up another post addressing this as well. He says, with the new weight caps, I'll most likely have 12 more pounds to work with, but I'll give my thoughts on that in a later video. For now, here's the back portion of my pool day. And I think by the 12 pounds, I think he's probably referring to the same thing that Breon did. He's not going to lose as much height. He might not only get the 7 pounds in the weight class that he's currently in, but he might be in a weight class up to get an additional 5 pounds because he would be slightly taller without that level of depletion. And he says, but I'll give my thoughts on that in a later video. For now, here's the back portion of my pool day, and he shows some workout videos. Look, my honest feeling on this situation with the weight caps and Terrence, I feel like right now Terrence is going to be the one that directly benefits from this decision the most. Like I said before, I really feel like him missing weight at last year's Olympia and him struggling to make weight at that last minute and get that last pound off, I think that was a really big part of why he looked the way he did, why he placed where he did, why he found himself out of the conversation for the first time in a long time. I think it all came down to him missing weight, and I feel like with this extra gap that he has, and he's not going to have to worry much about making weight this time around. And he's not going to have that last-minute stress. I really think that we're going to see Terrence back in the top 3 this year, and maybe even fighting for his spot back as runner-up. Now, Ramon Dino has made tremendous progress, and I think he's going to be very difficult to beat for anybody in this lineup. But I think as a direct result of these weight cap increases, we directly see a majorly improved version of Terrence's physique, and I think a much better placing from Terrence. But let me know your classic physique top 3 early Olympia predictions right now in the comment section down below. Now, next up in the news, Hunter Labrada dropping a bunch of physique updates just a couple days away from taking the stage in Tampa at a very shallow, I would say, Tampa Pro lineup. Now, we do know that John De La Rosa is doing this show. His name has still not been added to the official competitor list, but he has confirmed he is doing it. And I've got to say, Hunter really looks impressive. We've seen some really impressive updates from Hunter, I think these being the most impressive that we've seen so far. I think it's undeniable when you look at these updates. His conditioning looks improved. His midsection looks improved. I feel like you can see more detail in his back. His chest looks better. He doesn't have that divot that people are complaining about in his chest, or at least I don't notice it in these updates. Overall, to me, he just looks sharper. He looks fuller. Overall, better than what we saw from him at the Olympia. And I would say the pose that is really jumping out to me in both the video that we saw a couple days ago and in these pictures is that front double bicep, man. That front double bicep, you can really, I think, significantly notice that he's brought down the size of his waist. I don't know if it was distension. I don't know what it was. But his abs look deeper. His waist looks smaller. His V-taper looks improved. The vacuum itself looks better. When I see Hunter in this front double bicep pose, it just looks so much better than it looked in the past to me. This is the pose for me that I think is really something he's improved tremendously. And I'm going to be totally honest, while I think that John De La Rosa is a great bodybuilder, I would be shocked if he beats Hunter Labrada here. And I think John is really probably the only bodybuilder in this lineup, realistically, that would even have a shot at stopping Hunter in this lineup. And again, I want to emphasize, no disrespect to anybody else in this lineup, but I have a feeling this is going to be, just based on what we've seen from Hunter so far, I have a feeling this is going to be a blowout victory for Hunter Labrada. Unless something goes horribly, horribly wrong for him at the last minute. But while I think it's a pretty safe bet that Hunter's going to win this show, I think the Texas Pro is going to be another story. And I'm very, very interested to see how that goes down with Andrew Jacked and Carlos Thomas Jr., where Hunter stands in that lineup, even if he's at his all-time best, which, again, in my opinion, it looks like he is. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about how Hunter Labrada is currently looking. Now, next up in the news, we got some recent physique updates from Sergio Oliva Jr., particularly these 2 back shots here. Now, what we know is recently Sergio switched coaches. He's no longer working with Chris Aceto, and he's currently working with Neil Yoda Hill, which is something that he confirmed in a recent post, which he referred to this current phase as his comeback with Neil Yoda Hill. Now, I've seen a lot of people commenting on Sergio's pictures, asking what his next show is going to be, if he's going to try to qualify for this year's Olympia. I personally have a feeling he's not going to try to qualify for this year's Olympia, just the fact that this whole new coach thing, how Cali went for him, but more so the new coach, I feel like is going to be something that he wants to adjust to before he does a full Olympia prep with that coach, and he's still got to qualify. So while I agree with you guys that I think he looks really good in these updates, I want to get your hopes too high that we're going to see him compete before the Olympia, but maybe we do. Maybe we see him do the Legion show again. I think would be good. That's a show that he's done in the past. It's the last qualifying opportunity that would give him the maximum amount of time to be working with Neil and get acclimated to that partnership. I mean, my hope is one of these shows towards the end of the season has like a really stacked lineup of people trying to qualify for the Olympia last minute. I mean, last year you had 30-something guys qualified. Right now we're not even close to that number. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, another physique update of Jay Cutler, just over 3 weeks out, probably around 3.5 weeks out from when he's going to be making his appearance at the Masters Olympia, doing some kind of guest appearance, I think a guest posing. In this physique update with Dana Lynn Bailey, who I feel like I haven't seen very much of at all in recent, as far as a physique update goes. But I saw a comment on one of my shorts about Jay, and I wanted to discuss it here because I thought it was a valid point. The comment said something to the effect of, why do you criticize Kai Greene for carrying around all the size that he does at his age? He's in his late 40s. But praise Jay Cutler for doing this transformation at the age of 50. And first I would say that the past 10 years since Jay is retired, he's been downsizing slowly over the past 10 years. And I think for a pretty good period there, he weighed maybe 220 or less and had downsized pretty significantly. He's healthy, and 220 is certainly much, much lighter than he walked around as a pro bodybuilder. Kai Greene is walking around at like 300 pounds. He hasn't competed in like 6 or 7 years. He hasn't competed at the Olympia in like a decade. He's made no effort to downsize. He constantly teases a comeback, never does it. And frankly, I just don't see the point in him carrying around 300 pounds of muscle for all these years with no intention of competing. But I do see the criticism there. Why praise Jay and criticize Kai? I just think there's a big difference between the two and what they're each doing. And obviously Jay, I would say at most, he's like 240. He did say that he was going to try to put on some size, put on some lean muscle again, which probably meant ramping things back up like he was when he was a competitive pro. Probably not the most advisable, healthy thing to do at his age. I can agree with that. But that's why I say I think he should compete in the Masters Olympia. If he's going to put his body through this transformation anyway, I think he might as well compete. And I would say the same thing for Kai. If he is going to risk his health, because at the end of the day, every pro bodybuilder is risking their health. If he is going to risk his health and walk around and keep carrying this muscle for years, and he's planning on competing, then I think fine, there's a purpose. But with Kai, I just don't see the purpose. And with Jay, while I see the purpose of him wanting to look good for the guest posing at the Masters Olympia, I think there could be more purpose to it in competing. But I don't think he will, and I think we're going to have to settle for that guest posing. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not clicked it already to be notified every time I upload a video. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.